Thank you.
Appreciate.
Yeah. Kendrick? Yeah. Mr. Kendrick.
I'm Kindrick.
Well, you go ahead, and then we'll take you.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Bruce Kindrick. I'm the executive director of Embrace Texas, which is a church-based nonprofit organization serving at-risk foster and adopted children and their families, as well as equipping churches across the state to reclaim the care of these kids and their communities according to the biblical mandates that we find in Scripture. I'm also the president of the Collin County Child Protective Services Board, or Child Welfare Board, the facilitator of the Region 3, which is Dallas-Fort Worth area CPS Recruitment Collaborative, and a former foster parent of more than a decade, and currently a parent of 5 adopted children, along with 4 biological children.
Oh, wow.
So, with that being said, I've not personally experienced the level of incompetence and, in some cases, outright criminal behavior that's been testified to today by caseworkers across the board. I have witnessed a low level of quality, training, and retention, coupled by a high level of policy, caseloads, and turnover for our caseworkers. As has been mentioned, CPS attracts people who want to care for children, along with people who maybe are a little bit more indifferent about actually caring for children, but just are seeking employment. And in both of these cases, some people are quality workers and others are not. What most often occurs, in my experience in working with CPAs and my experience working with CPS, what most often occurs is the best quality workers are recruited away from CPS by private CPAs, nonprofits, and other social justice arenas, and they gladly leave for better work environments, pay, and caseload ratios. This leaves the tenured best of the lowest level workers at the supervisor, county, regional, and state levels of management level to lead and exemplify the future of new caseworkers. So as you're hearing this, imagine following the lead of someone who you wouldn't follow, that you would watch them work and then just kind of go, gosh, this is not some place I want to stay, or somebody whose shoes I want to fill someday. For my relationships with former and existing CPS caseworkers and supervisors, the training and education provided to new staff, known as the Academy, is as ineffective in preparing new staff as the PRIDE training is for preparing new foster and adoptive families. It takes months, sometimes years, to develop a high-level caseworker, and CPS is losing those who have that potential or gain that level of work within the first year. As has also been mentioned, foster care redesign maintains dual case responsibility. So caseworker quality and retention aren't solved by passing foster care placement and foster home management on to private CPAs. In fact, it is encouraging CPS staff to seek employment elsewhere as the state swings towards privatization, which will again leave the lowest level quality workers at CPS for those who the SSCCs or private CPAs don't want to hire. Certainly there's more to say, and certainly the issues are complex. But in conclusion, my recommendations include pay by performance or bonus by performance in order to hold on to the best workers, loan repayment forgiveness programs, an update and review of the training process for new staff, and an even more intensive review of staff at the management level so that performance reviews are no longer satisfied with a grade of meets expectations, but exceeds expectations.
Thank you. Mr. Black?
Yes. My name's Jim Black. I'm the founder of Angel Eyes Over Texas. I'm here today to speak on a few issues. I'd like to thank Kirk Huffman for passing on a few of our ideas that were found in new issues 20 through 24. And one of our primary concerns is number 21, the addition of a third-party ombudsman. I believe it was House Bill 2217 last session addressed that, but it never got out of committee. From what I'm hearing from APS and CPS, this is a very important issue that needs to be addressed on all levels. Right now, if a family has to deal with filing a grievance, I'm sorry, but the Office of Consumer Affairs is virtually useless, and the OIG's office is not much better. These children right here were removed in 2009, they spent 1,723 days in CPS custody. They did not have grounds to remove these children. In fact, preponderance of evidence says that 3 felonies were committed in the course of the investigation. No one has ever investigated this. Reunification was addressed in the basic self-evaluation that came out in September to this commission. It did not make it into the staff report. Reunification, according to the handbook, and Angel Eyes Over Texas, our website, we track all changes to the CPS handbook monthly. This is adjudicated facts is made available so that anybody, attorneys, caseworkers, families, have it readily available so that they can know what exactly is going on with our kids. Yesterday, Senator Hinojosa drew attention to his military background. That reminded me, I believe it's the Marine Corps that uses standard operating procedure manuals. There was a mention in the report that we need to do written procedures. SOP needs to be written and it needs to be public so that we can have this adjudicated data readily available. Thank you.
Thank you. The guy sitting next to him's got a pretty good military background, too. Carrie? Carrie? Oh, don't go there. Don't go there.
We're Air Force, right?
Carrie, go ahead.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon. It's been a long day.
Oh, it's going to get a lot longer.
I know. I saw the. So I had a speech prepared, but I've been sitting here all day long. By the way, my name is Carrie Wilcoxson. I'm a former DFPS night investigator.
Ooh.
I worked within a specialized unit that handled some of the most difficult and challenging cases for the department, to include child death cases. And I have spent the last 5 years involved in reform efforts, working with state officials, families, and I am now an advocate and consultant for families and attorneys that find themselves involved with CPS. So we know there's a problem. And I've been sitting here all day long and I've been listening to stories such as yours and many, many other family, parents out here and children, and it's bringing back some stuff for me. It's bringing back some stuff. I am here to tell you that what you are hearing is correct. There is a problem. We know there's a problem. Year after year, meeting after meeting, conference after conference, we discuss and have discussions about more money, more training, new programs, special programs, new ideas. In fact, I've even handed out, each of you I think has gotten a copy of a proposal that I drafted and presented to Commissioner Specia about a year ago with 2 other individuals. And in it's going to be some really cool stuff that you're going to like, because it's going to help streamline some of those tasks for those investigators and family-based workers and get rid of some of that policy over policy. And it's going to help decrease workloads and get rid of that discrepancies between those workloads amongst the different units and the workers and boost morale. But none of that that's in there is ever going to be successful until we really, really get truthful and honest about what's at the crux of all of this, the core. And that's the culture, the mentality of the department. It does have a culture, as any large group does. Culture is related to people. It's related to their practices. And this department, though I believe in the entity, I believe in its mission, I loved my job. It was a noble job. But currently, None of what we're talking about, all these neat ideas that you've heard and all these neat ideas you're going to read about, we will meet again. We will have these discussions again until we really address what's going on behind the walls. And those are misbehaviors. We are operating under a culture of egos, favoritism, CYA, and intimidation that takes precedence over the policies and the procedures that are designed to help protect our children and our families.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to help me here. Look, Quentin?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, you got it.